hoping this microphone works. So I'm going to wait and see, and people log on to see if they can hear me, first of all. So my voice is kind of ruddy, so we'll see how well I can get through this. We shall see. Just going to wait. Oh, I'm going to turn my phone off. Better do that. All right. Just going to wait just a little bit here and make sure that I am live, and I am, which is good. You can see that is good. Fabulous. Fabulous. I'll just wait a few more minutes and everybody can kind of log on. We can kind of go from there. Still, this is my camera. This is not my normal camera. So I'm still like trying to figure everything out as far as if you guys can hear me okay. I think you can. So, but just waiting a few minutes. What about you guys? But I'm tired today. Most people are. We had a big kind of shift yesterday. So a lot of us are like, well, a little discombobulated. So a little off. Last night was the first night I slept in a long time. So, and I usually don't sleep hours, and I slept hours. So that was good. It was good. So I'm just going to wait for everybody to log on here. So fabulous, fabulous. So I just went on a little early because, like I said, I didn't know what the tech issues that I've been having. So you can see my little dog. Come say hi. You want to come say hi? No, never mind. Dad has food. Merry Christmas. It is like, I don't know what the wind is here, but it's ridiculous. Like ridiculous. I'm not even sure what the wind speed is. Holy moly. Like it's kind of nice because we're in the new house and we're still underneath that 30 days where they can still come repair stuff. So yeah, we could, it's a good thing that we had a windy day. So, but otherwise the house is really solid, but holy crap, it's windy. Like if it's not buckled down, it's flying. So, but it's not freezing cold. It's not super, super cold like I was expecting it to be. This is going to be more of a mild winter. So, because again, if I'm seeing sandhill cranes already, 50-mile-an-hour gusts. That is true. But I'm like, I just want one night where I can actually look at the stars. It has literally been a week. They've done so many chemtrails that I can't even I haven't seen the stars. I've barely seen the moon. So it's frustrating because I want to be able to see stuff, but all the chemtrails, it's like everything's blocked at night. Everything. So yeah. Oh, you guys are in Sioux City, so it's just as windy. Blah. So, but yeah, I'm here to help answer questions for you guys. So I am kind of live on 4 different platforms, but when I get a question, I'll be able to slap it up on you'll see the little question pop up down below. So yeah, my trash cans, I told Steven, I'm like, hey, before the wind hits, why don't you bring the trash cans inside the garage? He's like, why? I'm like, trust me. And then I get home, he's like, oh, I see why you said that. I'm like, yeah. Tell you about the drones. I'll talk about the drones here. I will tell you that I think they are absolutely government led, but they're going to tell you that they're not. But I think they absolutely are, because here's the deal. If they were a threat, which we're kind of deeming that they are a threat, the Department of Defense would have taken those things down first and asked questions later. So that just means to tell me that, of course, and I do think it has something to do with Space Force. I think if you ask me, I think they're trying to look for something that they lost. Whoopsie. So I don't know if it's like a nuclear reactor or they lost something. And my guess is they lost it in New Jersey. That's why there's so many flying around in New Jersey. They lost something. And my guess is they don't want to put the public in a big panic. So that's why they're having the drones and everything else. And they're trying to search for something. And I'm like, they're not really honing in on people. It's not a people thing. They lost something. And I think they lost something very expensive or very worrisome. So, and of course, they're not going to tell you that because they don't want everybody in a damn panic. So, but at the same time, when there's enough people kind of paying attention to it, what are they distracting us from? So I'm like, what are they distracting us from? That's going to be my, yeah, probably less than nuke. That's what I'm saying. They did something. So yeah, that's where I'm like going, I think the government knows damn well what's going on, but it's kind of a need to know basis. You know what I mean? So, Heidi, this is a good question. What does it mean when a loved one passes on your birthday? It means that they are part of your soul family, meaning that you've probably reincarnated with these group of family members for millennia. So, but that's actually really, really common. If somebody is born or dies on a significant day within the family, that's pretty common, believe it or not. The itchy palm thing, Carrie. So if you have a right itchy palm, money is going out. If you have a left itchy palm, money is coming in. So remember, your right side is always the giving side. Left side is always receiving. Right side is masculine, left side feminine. So, yep, absolutely. Let's see. Best crystal to sell your home for top price and fast, jade and pyrite. Stick them in the southeast corner of your home. Southeast corner is your money corner, feng shui wise. So that's going to be the best spot to put them. Absolutely. This is a good one. So Allison saying that she felt a vibration in patients' wrists when taking their pulse. That means to tell me that they're vibrating higher than you are. So as a result, you're actually going to feel that and have almost a physical response because of it. So that just means to tell me that they're vibrating at a little bit higher frequency than you are. And a lot of times, if you're meditating, you're in a meditative state, you're vibrating at a high frequency. So that's really common. I'll tell you what, I hear this all the time. I left a job that I love. My ex-boss is throwing me under the bus. What should you do? You didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to tell you what, cockroaches don't like light. Remember that. When you become enlightened, the people that are not enlightened are going to blackball you. And you did nothing wrong. I know that you didn't, but you irritate people who are not enlightened. Like I said, cockroaches don't like light. Do not take it personal. But if you're trying to, defend yourself so you can get another job, well, then so be it. But at the same time, it's actually stupidly common that people get blackballed at work after they start to go through a spiritual awakening. And that's the only reason why, is because you're hanging around people that vibrationally speaking are way lower than you, and you literally irritate the shit out of them. So I'm going to talk about this one. I don't believe in twin souls or twin flames. That is reserved for kids that are under the age of 8. Now, soulmate, yes. So like I said, you are lucky if you find a soulmate in this life. So, but the twin flame thing gets thrown around way too much, and it's a way deeper meaning than what people seem to understand. So, let's see. Some of these are, I'm not doing readings, just so you guys know. But you guys are asking me readings, and I'm like, will I get a job soon? I'm like, I'm not reading. I did 4 readings today, and that was good enough. Let me see. No, here, this is a really good one. Is there anything you should be doing in a Mars retrograde? So it depends on where it is in your chart. All right. So it honestly depends on where it is in your chart. But Mars and going retrograde is just kind of time for us to take a step back and look at our goals, ambitions, and dreams. If you want to change up the job, it's a pretty good opportunity to do that. Mars has us kind of step back a little bit. And so depending on where it is in your chart is going to be depending on how it affects you, whether that's negative or positive. So, is the world going to end I'll tell you what, here's the deal, Melissa. Nobody will know that. And because it says in the good book that I don't care how good of a psychic you are, no one will be able to predict the end of times. And if that's the case, then you should be living your life as if the world's going to die tomorrow. I mean, you really should. And you shouldn't be afraid if that happens. Because again, the best thing that you could do is live your life balls to the wall while you're here. Absolutely. So that's the point. That's what you're supposed to do. What does it mean? Hi. Hello. So what does it mean when somebody says you need to let go of the old programming? It means that you need to let go of what you've been taught or what you think is right. You might not be right. So because the way that we were raised and the way that reality is different. It's totally different. So that's what they usually mean by that. I hear this is a great question, Dan. Are COVID babies old souls? They're actually the opposite. They're new souls. Many COVID babies haven't had previous lives. And if they have had a previous life, they've only had one here on earth. So they are fearless, fearless. They don't understand gravity very well. So they're very uncoordinated, but they have no fear. Because they know that if they die, they'll just come back around again. So it's no problem. And you're like they don't get stranger danger. So yes, they're actually new souls, not old souls. So I talked about, we did have a shift, Patty, yesterday. We had a big shift. We had one yesterday, big time. Sometimes like today, we'll have like a backlash effect. But a lot of us yesterday, about 6-7 o'clock, all of a sudden feels like we got our batteries pulled. So that has a lot to do with that. And some people have like more of a later effect to that. So Shauna's asking, do our spirit guides kind of communicate to us similar to our personality? Yes. Yes, they do. And don't think for a second they're always all serious. Oh my God, they are so not, they're funny. So, and they're sarcastic too. Oh, they can be sarcastic. So, but they're going to talk to you as if you'd be talking to yourself, because if they came in with their own belief system, it would confuse you. So that's a big rule with spirit guides. One, they cannot affect your free will. Therefore, they can't tell you what to do. You have to decide that. But number two is that they can't, if you're a Christian, they can't give you something in like Judaism. It's too confusing. They're not going to do that. So, but yes, they are gonna, when they begin to communicate with us, it is a lot like we're talking to ourselves. That's why I always tell people, when you begin to go through a spiritual awakening, you don't have imagination anymore. You have intuition, but that's exactly what it feels like. That's why I'm saying is that, do you think that you're getting these awesome random ideas, or is somebody helping you out? Somebody's helping you out. Let's see here. Yeah, the 13-month-old, it gets so frustrated when she can't figure out a toy. They are, and they're not quick to anger, but they get mad because they don't understand why they can't manifest instantly. I'm like, welcome to Earth, little one. Welcome to Earth. So they get mad because they just feel like they should be able to manifest quickly. I'm like, no, we have polarity here. You may not be used to that, but good, welcome to Earth, honey. So. Yeesh. So, okay, we'll talk about the ear ringing. The low pitch in the right ear is usually your spirit guides. The high pitch in the right ear are usually angels, and left side is usually 9 times out of 10. That's going to be your loved ones. So, economy, I have no idea. I think it's going to fluctuate all across the board. I could tell you that 2025 all the way to 2030 is going to be very different. You have to understand technology is going to advance so quickly that I think it's going to be surprising. I do think the pharmaceutical industry, the oil industry they're gonna, I'm not going to say collapse, but they're going to have a lot of challenges, along with religious institutions. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming for 2025, especially, but you got to remember it's a snake year as well. So it's a wood snake year. And that is, snakes always shed their skin. So the last snake year we had was 9/11. So that's where I'm like going, we'll have to wait and see. But this is why you're going to hear me say a lot of times, you're going to hear me say, use discernment. Use discernment. Don't believe everything you hear. So like I said, remember they can do holograms nowadays. So you don't know if you're looking at something that's real or if it's AI induced. Like you've really got to use discernment now. Somebody was asking, oh, right here. Thoughts on EFT tapping to heal emotions? Not only yes, but hell yes to that. I like that because it helps you to slowly unwind subconscious stuff. Yep. Your 6-year-old sees black blobs. I did too. And I'm going to tell you what, sage her room, let her have her routine because routines are important to us. But just make sure that you sage her room. So that way, just if she does see something like that, then she knows it's familiar and it's okay. So, but saging is a great way to really help kind of, she's a bright beacon, but it's going to give a bit of a smoke screen so she can't be seen as well. Holy moly, hang on. How long have I been, this is cute. How long have I been doing, I've been saying 10 years and Eric actually corrected me. He's like, more like 14. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not good at math. So I've been doing readings for 14 years. I have been intuitive longer than that. But yes, I enjoy it. Absolutely. It's God gave me the gift of mediumship and I can't use it for myself. I can't read my children. I can't read my husband. I can't read anybody that is close to me. Therefore, you help people with it because that's why I have it. So yes, I do enjoy it. People would think it's tiresome. It's actually not, because if you're doing what you love, it's never tiring. It's never exhausting. So I was doing too much. And that's why I had to kind of take a break a little bit. So now it's great. I got a great routine. Fabulous. Is it a bad time to change jobs? No, go for it. Absolutely go for it. Change your job. So is he going to make it to inauguration? Weirdly enough, there's a glitch, and I think that's what we're all feeling, is that weird glitch. I do think there may be another assassination attempt before he takes office in January. So I for some reason there's a glitch there, and I'm like, I think it's going to be very similar to what he has experienced before. But like I said, there is a little bit of a glitch or a hiccup, and I'm not quite sure what that is. So I'm guessing it's that. Yeah, you got a reading 7 years ago. Yeah, I just had somebody come in and they're like, yeah, you read me like 10 years ago. I'm like, whoa, I forget that I've been doing it that long. I'm going to talk, well, hang on. I'm going to talk about this one here. There are a lot of people that are going to be passing over. And the simple reason is they didn't sign up for what's coming. They didn't sign up for 2025. Us enlightened ones did, because we're here to change some stuff. And we have to do it as a collective, as a group, okay? So we kind of start heading in that direction. We start grouping together a lot more next year to change not only the United States, but change the world. But you know as well as I do that sometimes in order for things to change, sometimes they have to get deconstructed in order for them to get reconstructed. But if you understand that it's for the greater good, then it's okay. But change is scary for a lot of people. It really is. But I'm like, I'm ready. Let's roll. Let's do this. I think we're all sick and tired of the pharmaceutical and the oil industry and all those industries running the show. So yeah, no. And I think that's why a lot of people are feeling this kind of angst about, like, it feels like a foreboding, or like a calm before a storm. And it is because there is some things that are going to be changing here, and they need to, like I said, and change is good. So it's progress. Yes, I do think there will be some sort of contact. I think that's going to come around more 2027. Is going to be a little bit more solid. But they, like I said, they have to begin disclosure. The government does, because they've been hiding it for a long time. So they must disclose by 2025, because basically the good guys pretty much just said enough. So if you don't start disclosing that we are here to help, and that we are loving people and not scary people, humanoid, I'll say that. And basically put, yeah, they've got to disclose. But again, you're going to see a lot of disclosure here. So that's why you're already seeing it. And notice that they're not making fun of it like they did in the 80s. They're not making fun of aliens or making you seem like you're a little cray cray. No, I mean, I bet if you take a poll right now, 80% of the people are going, okay, yeah, there probably are aliens. Like, I'm like, just disclose it already. But it's the 20% muggles that freak the hell out over it. And I'm like, okay, come on. So, no, I'm not worried about January 10th, January 20th, January 25th, or all the other dates. That's where I'm saying is I'm like, use your discernment. So no, I'm not worried, but I think more big changes, especially March. So I think you were starting to kind of see some changes now, but March is really going to be a lot. So March and April, there's going to be lots of changes, a lot in the summer, and then especially in September, October next year, August, September, October next year as well. So there's a lot. So yeah, it's good though. Plasma orbs. I said those, again, this is where space, isn't it funny how Space Force was never really around and now all of a sudden it's a branch of government? So I think that you have to remember, they have reverse technology, meaning that they can, we do intergalactic trading at this point. So, and those plasma orbs are absolutely government made. They, like I said, same with UFOs. So they reverse engineered them, not only from, the Roswell crash, but they reverse engineered them a long time ago. So we've been doing this a while. And normally I wouldn't be talking about this, but it's kind of like my guides are like, no, it's okay to talk a little bit about it. So that way I don't get blackballed on Facebook or anything else. So, let's see. How do you help those that are at the end of life prematurely? Pray for them. Prayers work. They really do work. I don't think people understand. Like, I know if somebody comes in and sits down and gets a reading and they're being prayed for, I have to ask the angels to back off, because otherwise I can't hear anything. So understand that prayers, whether you pray for yourself and ask for help or you pray for other people, it freaking works. It works every single time. And I'm telling you that I do that a lot. After somebody leaves, I am giving them a little bit of a prayer, because again, it works. It really does work. I'm going to talk about this. Why aren't you craving food anymore? We aren't meant to eat heavy foods. We're going to start eating a lot lighter. You're also going to notice we're going to get taller and thinner, with bigger eyes. And that's just our genetic, I guess, code getting turned on, if you want to think about it that way. But you'll have waves where you're going to eat a lot and then not eat at all and then eat a lot. So right now, Eric and I'm like, I told Stephen, I'm like, well, I'll make dinner when I'm done with my Q&A. And they're like, okay. And I said, have you eaten anything today? And Eric's like, no, I haven't, but I'm not really hungry. I'm like, yep. So you're going to have waves where you're pigging out. And then there's other days you're like, I'm not hungry at all. I'm like, okay, just drink water then, or, eat your fruits and vegetables. But that's really about it. So, what's a good bracelet to wear for filtering negative energy? I really like black tourmaline. So black tourmaline protects you from negativity. Black obsidian is really good for like coworkers and stuff, but the combo is great. Now, if the black obsidian or the black tourmaline breaks, it literally took a hit for you. So I find it funny that a lot of kids, especially high school students, when they have a black obsidian or a black tourmaline bracelet, it breaks almost every single time in school. Duh, it's the most negative place they could be, right? Um, let's see. Hang on one sec. Clicked it. Aha. What are the periwinkle ones, the angels? So the periwinkle ones are usually just like guardian angels. A little bit higher angels usually are more purple or blue. And then usually the more pink ones have the tendency to be like spirit guides. At least that's the color that I see. But remember, what you think an angel is going to look like is what they're going to look like. They're going to come to you in a form that's comfortable to you. So, but your brain also has to interpret it, and it gets a little weird. So, just like I said, understand that usually those are going to be your spirit guides or your guardian angels, but there's different kinds of angels and different phylums of angels, and there's lots. There's lots. The scalar energy, yeah, there's something to that. Absolutely. The grounding pendants that we sell at the store, which I am out of, and do you think I can get any more in right now? Still trying to find them. But the scalar energy works really well to basically it kind of grounds your auric field down a little bit. So that way the energy or the chi within your body flows at better rates. So that's usually it. Is it a good time to start fresh? Actually, it is. Yep. If you need to rock the boat, go right ahead. So, because Mercury is it's direct now. We're still in the shadow period a little bit, so there might be some miscommunication. But no, if you feel like you need to rock the boat and get a fresh new start, go for it. Go for it. Absolutely. So if you've been seeing owls to me always mean change or transition. So, or that change is coming, but don't assume it's bad. Everybody always assumes, oh gosh, change is bad. I'm like, how about if you assume it might be good? Right? How can you take care of yourselves with this shift? I'm telling you, this one was tough. It's like I said, normally shifts don't bug me too much. This one got me. So the best thing that you can do is hydrate and ground. So, and I say ground because these shifts, what they do is they open up the third eye and the crown and all these chakras up here. But the lower chakras are really, really hard to stay open. Easier for dudes. Guys hold their lower chakras easier than girls. So that's why I'm like, if you got a guy, it's a little bit easier, but it's hard to go outside when we have Mach 80 winds here. But try to use your grounding techniques, and that's listening to anything for the root chakra. Any basement time is good. Grounding pendants, grounding mats. We got some more grounding mats in Awakenings. And pretty much like black crystals, wearing red or black is going to help out. So any of those type of things are going to help you to ground a little bit. Eating the root vegetables, cooking and cleaning. Those are all things that you can do to open and stabilize the root chakra. So that's going to help you to at least feel a little bit better. But again, if you feel like you need to rest, because here's the deal. The winter solstice is coming in 2 days, and winter solstice, that just means sleepy time. So it just means sleep and rest. And so that's where I'm like, when we have the winter solstice, plus we have, Christmas coming, I'm like, eat, sleep, and rest and be happy. So it's really hard to get motivation for the next probably week and a half. So don't beat yourself up too much. Just listen to your body. If your body's telling you to rest, rest. So really, you're not being lazy. You don't have to earn rest. Just listen to your body right now. Yes, I did hear about the Pope opening. It's not portals, but they're doors. But back in 2017, the Pope opened up 4 doors. I'm just scared. Why are we opening them up on Christmas Eve, and what's behind the fifth door? What are we opening it? Why are we doing this? I don't understand Catholicism to understand what they're opening, why they're opening it, and why are they doing it on Christmas Eve. So I'm trying to figure that out, because I'm not going to assume it's bad. I just don't know why. Is it tradition because they didn't do it last year? And like I said, my question is why, and I haven't found a good enough why yet. On why they're doing this. Like I said, is it tradition, or? But it's not portals. These are like doors that they're opening, but there's a certain regiment or a certain thing that they have to do in order to open this, like a ritual that they have to do to open them. And I'm like, why are you doing it on Christmas Eve? And then what's the point of doing these rituals? Like, are they supposed to represent something? So I don't know. I'm like, that's my question. La, la, la. So yeah, you used to be Catholic and you don't know what the doors are. That's what I'm like, I'm asking and nobody can give me a good enough answer. They're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Like, why? But nobody can answer my why. At least the stuff I've come across, they're like, oh, it's Lucifer's door. I'm like, oh, stop it. So I'm not going to buy that right out the gate either. So, yeesh. If you're shopping at, Stacy's talking about shopping at a like a metaphysical store, and then sometimes you get kind of lightheaded and dizzy. That happens at our store a lot. And my girls are really good about paying attention to my customers. If they start to get kind of lightheaded, they'll just kind of look around, and they always look the same. They're just like, they kind of look at you with a blank stare, and you're like, you feeling okay? They're like, no. And we're like, good. Then we'll make them sit down. We'll grab 2 black crystals, usually black tourmaline or black obsidian, and we'll put them in both of their hands. Let them sit for about 2 minutes. That feeling goes away. So it's just when you go from a low vibration to a high vibration, it makes people kind of wonky. So that's kind of what's happening. Do bracelets have to be activated? No. I will tell you, at Awakenings, we sage every single day. That's part of our closing procedures. We sage the entire store every single day, including all of the crystals. So that way, the vibration of the energy of the crystal itself isn't interfered with fingers. But we do encourage people to touch. There are people on my staff, especially Amber. She is Reiki master. So at any point in time, if you want her to infuse your crystals with her energy with Reiki, she can sure do that. Not a problem. So you just have to request it. It's all good. Migraines in a 10-year-old boy, that's perfectionism. So he's being very critical to himself, or somebody is putting pressure on him to be perfect, and he's not good. That's hard for him to take criticism. So that's a perfectionism issue. So, and I don't like that in a 10-year-old, because that is what leads to OCD, quite possibly. If it goes into a girl, it could lead into anorexia, bulimia type stuff. That's an OCD issue. So if a kiddo wakes up in the middle of the night scared, what's happening is that usually they're remembering how they died in previous lives, especially between the ages of 3 and 5. So what you're going to do is make sure no beds in corners. We don't put beds in corners with kids. Corners are mini pyramids. It taps us in. So number 2, you make sure that you get a dream catcher. They have to pick out the dream catcher, and they're going to tell you exactly where to put it in their room. You put it where they say. Number 3, sage, and sage often. And then number 4, if we're still having issues, we're just going to say a quick prayer before you put them to bed. God, please surround my child with the white light of the Holy Spirit, so that way they don't dream about scary things or negative experiences that don't have an impact on this life, because it doesn't. They just happen to remember that. Darn it. Oh, so it's a Jubilee thing. So it is tradition. So they do this every 25 years. I will look into that. That's what I needed to know, because I didn't know where to start. So, aha. So, gotcha. Jubilee. I'll look that up. So type 1 diabetic, meaning behind that, that's usually actually an autoimmune issue. So that's kind of like leukemia, or things like that. It's an autoimmune issue. So that one's a little different. It's like I said, it's not necessarily emotionally led, but there's a lot of um, movement or energy, or it's hard for them to just be still in a quiet spot. How do you help a kiddo that's struggling with their sexuality? You know what? The hardest part I have with a lot of these kids is they want to label themselves. Well, I'm this. And I'm like, why do you feel the need to label yourself? You don't even know who you are. You don't know your goals, ambitions, and dreams. You don't know your career path. You don't know your life purpose. Why are you so hot and heavy to try to figure out what side of the line that you lay on? It doesn't matter. You'll figure it out for sure when you turn about 22 or 23. So, but they just want to get a label, usually just to figure out, like, well, I think I'm this. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, it doesn't matter. But they love to love. And sometimes it's hard for them to differentiate. Do I like guys or girls? I'm like, who cares? Like, you'll figure it out along the way. Don't worry about putting a label on it. Just be who you are. So, and that's really hard at any age to do that, let alone when they're teenagers or in their early 20s. That's not easy. I mean, we've been through that phase. We didn't know our head from our ass either. So just the biggest thing is that just tell them to love and understand that it really doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah, the headaches, like I said, headaches are perfectionism issues. Almost always they're just having issue. They want to be perfect, or everything has to be perfect, because if something's wrong, like either there's going to be punishment if it's a child, or they feel the need to be perfect. Usually that's because of a narcissistic parent. Usually. So, no, Christy, that's actually not. So you're saying you're totally over being everybody's everything. You're being more blunt and open than ever. You're tired of everything being on your plate. It's not part of the shift. It's part of enlightenment, because at this point you're beginning to see things as even energy exchange. I help you, you help me. But I'm helping you guys without any expectation of having anything in return. But it's the problem of you having an expectation that you're going to get something in return is the problem. So you're realizing that you're helping them and they're not willing to help you, and as a result you put down a boundary. I'm like, add a way to do it. That's how you do it. That's part of being enlightened. And that's part of you taking care of you. That's also part of you taking your power back. That's perfect. That's perfect, because then you'll get to a point where you don't care what anybody else thinks, just like me. I don't care. I am who I am. So I'm not going to be somebody to make you feel comfortable. I don't care. So, well, hypothyroidism, best crystals or anything dark blue. So I like sodalite, especially for that one, but anything kind of light blue or dark blue. Aquamarine isn't too shabby, blue topaz, things like that. But sodalite's not too shabby. Not bad. Plantar fasciitis, stubbornness. True stubbornness, because change for you is very difficult. Change requires you to be brave without fear. And that's a fear-based response. You don't like change because it's a kind of an anxiety response too. Like, but if I change this, I want to know what's going to happen, because I don't want to disappoint anybody here, but I need to know what's going to happen over here. So plantar fasciitis it's very difficult for you to move forward with decisions, with choices, with anything. And you don't like change. So I always tell people like that, we do baby steps first. So we start with, if you go to your favorite restaurant, I want you to order something different off the menu. Baby changes. Instead of taking the same routine home, we're going to take a different routine home. We're going to take the scenic route. So little tiny changes like that will lead into bigger ones, because uncomfortable means you're growing. Uncomfortable means you're growing. Being comfortable, being uncomfortable, that's how you win. That's really how you win, because then when change occurs, it's easy. It's easy. Is it possible that your 4-year-old talks to your dog telepathically? Not only yes, but hell yes. Most kids under the age of 5, that's why they like animals so much. They like animals more than people because they can talk. Absolutely. Thoughts on Bashar? For the most part, great messages. I'm a good fan about 80%. There's some things I'm like, but 80%, pretty good. Let's see. So let me talk about this. If you had to come back as severe risk of melanoma. So melanoma is for people who are stifled in their emotions. They don't talk about how they feel because they've been ridiculed in the past. They don't feel comfortable in their own skin. They don't feel comfortable being who they want to be because they're afraid about what everybody else might say. And it's really difficult for them to speak about their feelings due to ridicule in the past. I talked about the drone ones already. Manifesting, is it really just speaking what you want? No. Those are affirmations. Yes, I love affirmations. Manifesting is acting as if you already have it, to feel it, to smell it, to taste it, to see it, to hear it, the whole gamut. So I want you daydreaming about it. So that's how you manifest. You have to manifest as if you already have it, because that energy has to, it's all vibration. That energy has to match it. And so what I explained, my best way to explain this is, somebody, for instance, some great relative that you didn't even know left you $2 million and you have the check in your hand. You go to the bank and the banker said, you know what? This is a viable check, but it's going to take about 4 days for the check to clear, and then it's going to hit your bank. In those 4 days, how do you think you're going to feel? That feeling is how you manifest that 2 million bucks. And it's just as easy to manifest $2 million as it is $10. The problem is you think it's going to be harder to do. That's the problem. You think it's harder. No, it's not. You've just been told that and you believe it. It's not true. It's not true. So that's part of the shit that you got to get out of your head, because it's not true. So what does it mean being really shy? Sometimes that is social anxiety. Other times you're a high empath and you could feel everybody else's emotions and you don't know if they're yours or theirs or what it is. So the best way to protect your empathy is to imagine yourself in a bubble. So just say something like, God, angels, please surround me with the white light of the Holy Spirit. And then imagine yourself in a big white bubble. And that's really going to help to keep your energy to you and buffer out their energy. So it'll help a lot. No sense of smell for 20 years. Alpha lipoic acid. Get alpha lipoic acid. Don't ask me why I know that. Weird. Can you trust your intuition under the influence? To a point, yes. But it depends on what influence. If it's alcohol, you got to be real careful with that. Weed, not so much. So depends on what influence. Same with like plant medicine, fine. I'll just say plant medicine. I can't say other stuff. But alcohol is the only one you got to be a little careful with. So because it lowers your vibration, because it is a depressant. And if you drink way too much, that's when you have the possibility, and it usually doesn't happen to enlightened people, but you would have the possibility of a negative entity attachment. So, but that's why it's still legal. I will tell you, Joy, that's normal. Welcome to enlightenment. You're going to usually wake up between 1 and 4 a.m. damn near every morning. Usually when you first start, you're going to wake up at 2, 2:22, 3, 3:13, 3:33, usually 4, 4:44, like pretty well. That's going to be par for the course. So, but yeah, that's all like normal. As weird as it is normal. Thoughts on the school shootings? Breaks my heart, first of all. Second of all, why aren't we having, like, obviously, like, vets who don't have PTSD? Why aren't we having vets guard our schools? Like, they can volunteer. Like, why don't we have that? Second of all, it's sad that we have to talk about that, our poor kids at school. But you got to remember, we have a society now where they have video games. Killing people on TV is normal. It's normal. It should be a shock to people, and it's not a shock anymore. And also, people aren't raised with two parents anymore. They're lucky if they're raised by one. So that creates a lot of instability, a lot of instability. But I think that there's a lot of solutions out there, but nobody wants to deal with it. And I'm like, the school system has got to change. I think we can all agree with that. Especially the teachers should be getting paid twice as much for what they're getting paid, especially with the bull crap that they have to deal with. So, and why those laws are not changing is beyond me. And I think that's part of what we need to start coming together and demanding that they get paid more. Take the lottery money, take the weed money, take the gambling money, and give it to the damn teachers. So, I mean, my God, they need it. That our school system should be way better than what they are, but they're antiquated at this point. The problem is cell phones. They don't need algebra. They have this. So I'm like, we have got to change even the curriculum of what they're doing, let alone hold those children accountable. So if they don't turn in their homework, they're like, it's fine. No, it's not fine. No, it's not fine. They shouldn't be allowed to play sports if they're failing their grades. But all of that is just really getting swept aside. And it's going to take us parents to really get on the school boards to make that change. And by the way, people on the school boards should be in school, meaning that they should be ex-teachers. I don't even care if it's a damn janitor. Those are the people that should be on the school boards, not the rich folk that are in town that can get the votes. So I just think that should be illegal. That doesn't make any sense to me. How somebody who just thinks they know how schools run. I'm like, no, go ahead and spend a month in a school, day in and day out. And then you're going to come up with some solutions. But you can't just sit there and say, oh, I know, and you can vote for me. It's a joke. I'm sorry. So the same goes with hospital boards. They let the insurance companies run the hospitals. Since when? Since when? So that has to change as well. So don't even get me started on the government shit. But all that's going to start changing because we're going to demand it. We have to. So that's part of the thing that we're going to start coming together on. So sometimes your loved ones can come in as spirit guides, especially if you're struggling with the same thing that they struggled with. So absolutely they can. A lot of times though, most of the time it's your spirit guide. So your spirit guide's job is to guide your butt. So 9 times out of 10, that's where it's at. Let's see. So if you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 on the clock, now that could be a sign from your mom, Sarah. That could be. The other reason, but the meaning behind those type of numbers, that 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4, 5, 6, 7, or even backwards 7, 6, 5, 4, that usually means you know what you need to do to change something in your life to make you happy, but you're just being a chicken and not doing it. Yes, Subwooden. Well, then stay up here, man. Stay up here. Stay up here. There you go. Here's the deal. I feel bad that somebody lost a family member. I mean, murdering somebody ain't cool. But at the same time, it was a shockwave that maybe the insurance company needed to hear, or us as a community needed to talk about it. So I'm like, I don't think killing anybody is where it needs to be. But at the same time, I think it sent a shock wave for us to sit down and talk about the change that needs to happen. So, see. I already spoke about the whole thing with the they're not opening portals, they're just opening doors. So, but like I said, I was asking why, and they said it because of the Jubilee. I'm like, ooh, I want to check that out. Hang on, my camera's focus. It gets fuzzy. So I know my dog, he's just Templeton has to be everywhere where I am all the time. He's half Chihuahua, so Tiffany, I think you're on to something. Do I think that we need universal health care? I don't know what the solution is, but I know what the problem is. And I think that's where, honestly, not my generation as Gen X, but those millennials, they got some damn good ideas. Believe it or not, they've got damn good ideas, and I would love to know what they come up with. So the Gen Xers, we're here to destroy stuff, but those are my kids' generation and those millennials, they might come up with some damn good solutions, and we need to start hearing them out. They're not all snowflakes. They actually have really good ideas. So, and we need to start hearing them out here because they're on to something. So, and remember, they are here for the change. We're just here to rock the boat. They're here to make the big change. Night terrors. I just spoke about that one, Sierra. What other questions? So that's what I'm like. Those millennials are, like I said, you guys are here to change stuff, but you guys are also Einsteins, and it frustrates parents because those guys that group is looking for their passion. They're looking for their purpose, and they're not finding it. I'm like, because it hasn't been presented yet. Not yet. It's coming. So feathers are usually from, like, it's usually assigned depending on the color of feather. So I know, like, black and white feathers are about change. I always forget, like, the brown ones are about balance or stability. So you got to Google that shit. I can't ever remember what the feather colors mean all the time. But look that up because it does mean something, and it was meant for you to see. So a lot of times I'll have people that will say, well, I was listening to this conversation clear over here, but nobody else heard it. I'm like, because they weren't supposed to hear it. It was meant for you to hear. That's why. Let's see. You have lucid dreams on a grounding mat. Yeah, it is related. So a lot of people can lucid dream when they're fully at rest or grounded. That's why most people dream best when they're outside in a tent. Yeah, believe it or not, it's a grounding thing. So here's the deal with entity attachments. You have to be a pretty low vibrational person. Usually if you get a negative entity attachment, you're a drunk or you're doing drugs, like hardcore shit. So 9 times out of 10, that's where you're going to pick it up at, because you have to think about it. A negative entity isn't going to attach to somebody who's a high viber. It's too much work. They're going to go for the alcoholic, or the person who's doing hardcore drugs, or the person who is just miserable and negative and unhappy. So they're going to go for those. Let's see. I will tell you, the boomers bring the gift of 1, discernment. 2, you guys are here to teach us old school tricks. So you really are. Like the other day, I had a sliver, and my mom's like, "Oh, put some bacon around it." I'm like, "You want me to do what?" She goes, "Go get a piece of bacon, wrap it around that, keep it in there overnight. It'll come out." Sure as shit, it did. When I was done nursing, they don't give pills to dry up anymore. They were like, "Get some cabbage leaves and put some cabbage leaves there, and it'll dry up." By God, it did. So you guys are here to teach us the old school, natural way of doing things. Absolutely. Because we've lost that along the way. And you guys remember it because you had to use it, especially in the dirty 30s, in the 20s and 30s. And so you guys are here to teach us the old school ways of doing things. Plus, you are to remember and help us with history, especially the wars, especially those. What do I think of worry dolls? Yeah, to each their own. So it's just another form of transferring energy. I don't really know how they work. I don't know much about conjuring. So that's more conjure stuff, but to each their own. I don't judge it. I just don't understand it. That's just being real. I know crystals. I don't know conjure stuff very well. I got a friend, Mama Izzy, at the conjure shop here in Omaha. She does that. Not it. Not it. Burning sensation, right elbow. Aja, that has a lot to do with you're not letting go an aspect of work or money or dad. So it could be one of those three things. You're having a hard time letting it go. You know that you need to, but you just don't want to let it go. So it could, like I said, it could be dad, could be brother. I doubt it, but it's probably dad or it's a job. Usually if somebody, Becky, is monkeying with your lights, 9 times out of 10, it's a loved one. Almost always grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, sibling, something like that. 9 times out of 10, it's usually a loved one. Best crystals for, oops, hang on. Hey, wow. Oh, there it is. Best crystals for anxiety. I like amethyst and lepidolite. So those are my top 2, but anxiety actually lives in your root chakra. So anything black or red. So, but I like lepidolite, especially for the anxiety. Thoughts on organite. I got organite all over this house. So I have it in, I have big organite pyramids with black tourmaline, and I have those in the 4 corners of my house. And then I have even more organite, especially over here in this corner, because there's a Doppler radar and there's a 5G tower. And so I've got shungite, organite, shungite all along that wall. So yeah, it blocks the 5G energy, and I also have shungite, organite in front of my Wi-Fi connection, because it still produces the Wi-Fi, but it doesn't have the radioactive effects of it. So, and I'd have a piece of shungite before, right in between. So it's like in between my head when I go to sleep at night. So yeah. Oh, I use it a lot. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Short of breath, most of the day. Any advice or insight? So double check the heart, make sure your heart is okay. But almost always that's like your diaphragm's getting locked up. And so figuring out how to do deep breathing exercises are really going to help. I just want to make sure it's not a heart issue, because sometimes heart and lungs, like they fight. So make sure it's not a heart issue. But at the same time, do some really deep breathing exercises, because your diaphragm's getting locked up. No, 1111 for me means to monitor your thoughts. You are in control of your thoughts, but right now your thoughts are controlling you. So it's kind of a snapshot of like, hey, you're connected, remember, to God source energy, let it go. But your emotions are an indicator of what you're thinking. And so 1111 is pretty much like, hey, change your thoughts. What are you thinking about right now? And you're like, oh, I got to let that go. So, like I said, for me, it's just, what are you thinking about? Because it's probably not necessarily positive, because you need to remember that you are always connected to source and there's nothing for you to worry about. Easier said than done, because you ain't in this damn reality, right? So, tips on slowing down your thoughts, brain to meditate. Here's the deal. And I'm going to be point blank real with you. I have been meditating 15 years. It's still, there are days where my brain is not going to sit down and shut up. It happens. And then there's other days where it takes me, on average, it takes me about 7-8 minutes to get my brain to be quiet. So it is not an overnight process. Do not expect to sit there and think of nothing, because you're never going to get there. That is damn near an impossible feat. All right. So just understand that your brain is going to do what it's going to do. But simply sitting there and observing your thoughts and trying to let your thoughts go is huge. That's it. That's all you have to do, because nothing rarely magical happens when you meditate. That is a rare bird. It's the after effects of the meditation that you're going to notice. That's the gold. That's it. So, but just like I said, the more you meditate, the more that you're going to have more gaps of thought. That's the goal. So, but you will never, ever be able to sit there and think of nothing. That's bullshit. That doesn't happen unless you're a monk in Tibet. Sure, they practice that. So, but I'm like, that's not easy to do. So, like I said, I want you to lower your standard and your expectation. You'll be a lot happier. Really will. Let's see. Diagnosed with aggressive lymphoma. So that's weird. Look at her environment. Is she sucking down mold? What the hell's going on in her environment? Something's not right with her environment. Doesn't make sense. Is there a mass spiritual awakening happening? It's been going on for a while. It started back in 2012. That's when everything kind of started. So I went a little earlier than that. Mine started in 06. So I'm here to help you guys out. But 2012 is when it all began. But right now I think a lot of people began to go through a spiritual awakening when COVID hit. The other kicker was when after the election, there was another mass wave of enlightenment there too. So there's a lot. But no, I think that there's more of us than you think, by the way. I don't want people to feel like they're alone, especially in small towns. You are not. We're just all hiding out at home right now because we don't want people just like you. So it's all good. Will the Lady Huskers win? By God, I'm praying for them. So Husker volleyball girls, go Big Red. Absolutely. Seeing coyotes in meditation and in backyard. Holy crap, Hillary, that's a big sign. Look up the dream meaning behind it. It very well could be one of your spirit animals or spirit totems if you've been asking. The other thing is look up the dream meaning behind it. There's definitely a message behind that. Will the Galactic Federation ever show themselves? Not for a while. That's going to be past 2030. Not for a long time. So nope, not for a while. Is there another level of awakening coming? That's hard for me to say because we are now in 5D. And the way that I'm, how to explain, interpreting signs, the way that I am even speaking to your loved ones while reading is different. It is different. So I don't know if it's another level or if it's just changing. All I know is that we are becoming way more intuitive, and eventually, probably not in this lifetime, but eventually we're going to get to a point where we're telepathically communicating. But we're going to usually see it with our children. And our children are talking later and later because why would they talk? It's slow. Telepathic communication is fast and way more efficient. So that's kind of part of it. That's really about it too. But yeah, like I said, go back and watch this Q&A because I did talk about the drone stuff. I talked about a bunch of the stuff that you guys are already asking about. But like I said, good stuff. Other than that, I'm gonna pause right here. I think Eric might go live Saturday night with some more goodies because we have a lot of stuff we got to get rid of for the Tucson show. So he might go live on Saturday. I might help him out. We'll wait and see. But all in all, like I said, this is a pretty good week, but it's going to be really like woosah. So if you guys are extra tired this week, you're not really hungry, and if you don't feel like going to family events, fake sick, I don't care. But it's just rest right now. It's very much, a lot of people need to be in a cocoon a little bit. I'm like, cocoon, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's why I'm like, if you feel like you want to isolate and just, watch TV and veg out, go ahead and veg out. So you might as well rest while you can, right? So don't sweat that. So I do think, and I will announce this, I'm going to know by, I was hoping to be able to get a hold of Alika yesterday. But if I don't get the High Vibe Tribe up and going, I think it's that Monday, the last week of December, I might have a deep dive discussion where we can talk about stuff. But I'll post that and I'll do a video to let everybody know what the plan is. But want to thank everybody. If I don't get to talk to you before Christmas, please have a Merry Christmas. Like I said, it's gonna be pretty easy going, but enjoy your friends and family. And like I said, just relax and don't try not to push too much because you're gonna get frustrated. There's not a whole lot of momentum right now. It's time to cocoon and chill out. All right. So have a wonderful Christmas if I don't see you before then. But like I said, take care, guys.